Welcome back to the 2021 Field Operations webinar series. My name is Pat Hall from Esri. Thank you for joining us. Safety is job one for electric and gas utilities. When our employees head out for the day, we need them to return safely. Those employees take data with them for the day, and they also return with new information. When our data goes to work, we also need it to come back safely. And sadly, there are many opportunities for it to be injured along the way. Lost documents, illegible handwriting. The causes of data accidents makes a long list. Now, field employees are not very fond of paperwork. It's not their main job, but record keeping is a necessity. And we need to streamline field documentation as much as possible for precision, for efficiency, and also for employee satisfaction. Modern apps make workflows faster, more accurate, and even a little more fun. There's no bigger compliment than when a field employee gets a new tool and says, I don't know how I ever got along without this. This is the second in a two-part series on field operations. Last time we looked at tactical awareness, and most of our demonstrations were electric. If you missed it, please see the recording. In this session, we'll look at collecting and capturing information in the field and using it immediately across the organization. Most of our demonstrations today will be in the gas utility space. Make any adjustments you need to on the control panel, and please ask questions as we go. This is a quick 30-minute format. We will send you a link to the recording and a document with answers to all the questions from both sessions. I'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end. Here is our team for today's session. I'm joined by our industry lead for gas, Tom Coolidge in Pennsylvania. Tom, it's terrific to have you on the team today.
Hey, thanks, Pat. Great to be with you.
Also joining us, Tyler Polarchik is a lead from Esri Solution Engineering. Tyler, I always enjoy the things that you have to share. Welcome.
Yeah, sure thing. Excited to show everyone we got in store for them. Thanks for having me.
Every day, workers use data, they update information, and sometimes report new things that they observe in the field. Tom is going to set the stage for us by providing some context for collect and capture workflows, what they mean to utilities, and give us a quick overview of capabilities. Tyler has some impressive demonstrations of those capabilities. Then I'll wrap things up and talk about something new. Tom, I'll turn it over to you. Please take a couple of minutes and set this idea up for us. What does collect and capture mean for gas utilities?
Thanks, Pat. Esri enables cartographers to make beautiful maps, and we're proud of that. But we're even more proud that GIS today is much more than just mapping. ArcGIS, as we introduced in our first webinar, is a comprehensive system to support all utility functional areas and roles and all utility workflows. ArcGIS provides the capabilities to capture and manage very detailed information, to help visualize and analyze that data for understanding, and to share it with everyone that needs it, particularly in the field. In the first webinar in this series, we focused on the sharing capabilities of a comprehensive GIS for tactical awareness. Today, we focus on the data capture part. Access to complete and current data in geographic context is everything to today's high-performing utility, and even more so to tomorrow's. Data is the fuel that powers a utility's ability to improve decision-making, better manage activities, and comply with regulations. For these reasons, high-performing utilities are laser-focused on learning ever more in as close to real-time as possible about their network, its condition, activity in and around it, and the surroundings through which it passes. Much of that learning in gas utilities occurs through their distribution integrity management programs, or DIMP. This program is a continual process of knowing your system, identifying threats, evaluating and ranking risk, identifying and mitigating those risks, and then measuring performance, monitoring results, and evaluating effectiveness. All of this depends heavily on a wide range of data. With location being the most common attribute of gas utility data and electric utility data, GIS is at the heart of bringing all this data together. It's widely recognized that GIS is ideal for drawing data from disparate sources into a unified environment and connecting disparate data to a common geographic or schematic view. Some of that data is obtainable from sources outside the utility. Our focus today, though, is on the other part, that authoritative data captured in the field by the utility itself. ArcGIS provides the applications needed to support all phases of field operations, as you see here, including work planning and management, navigation, map exploration, location tracking, and today's focus, data capture. We'll look today at some key data capture capabilities in the context of common workflows. As we all know, there literally are dozens and dozens of utility workflows that include the capture of data. This word cloud shows just a sampling of those. Among the more common gas workflows are those in the areas of operating equipment inspection, like valves, damage assessment and emergency response situations, and tracking and traceability. Before handing things back to you, Pat, let me also touch on some of the Esri mobile apps being used in support of these workflows. ArcGIS today integrates both map-based and forms-based mobile apps. ArcGIS Collector is a maps-based data collection app that makes it easy to capture accurate data and return it to the office. Field workers use web maps to capture and edit data. ArcGIS Collector works even when disconnected from the internet and integrates seamlessly, as I mentioned, into ArcGIS. ArcGIS Survey123 is a complete form-centric solution for creating, sharing, and analyzing surveys. Use it to create smart forms with skip logic and defaults. Collect data via web or mobile devices, even when disconnected from the internet, and analyze results quickly and upload data securely for further analysis. ArcGIS Quick Capture is the fastest way to collect field observations. With this simple app, you can quickly record field observations from a moving vehicle while you scout locations, conduct aerial surveys, or assess damage. Send data back to the office for analysis in real time, and eliminate time spent manually processing handwritten notes. ArcGIS Quick Capture also is integrated into ArcGIS, so new data from the field can be used instantly for better decision making. And our newest app, ArcGIS Field Maps, is an all-in-one app that uses data-driven maps to help field workers perform mobile data collection and editing, find assets and information, and report their real-time locations. ArcGIS Field Maps is the go-to field map, powered by field maps that streamlines the critical workflows field personnel use every day. Because it is built on ArcGIS, everyone, whether in the field or the office, will benefit from using the same data. With that, back to you, Pat, to lead us through some demonstrations of these mobile apps in action. Pat?
Thanks very much, Tom. Tyler, step us through some of these workflows. Obviously, we won't show everything that Tom alluded to in 30 minutes, but there is a lot of interest in field maps, so let's begin there.
Thanks, Pat. I'd like to show a few different ways utilities are leveraging ArcGIS mobile technology today to support their own data collection efforts. I'm going to start by using the same mobile application we used in the last webinar called ArcGIS Field Maps. And as we discussed then, Field Maps is our new flagship mobile app that targets all the key requirements in the field in just one application. So we're able to understand our content in the field, capture it, monitor our progress, coordinate and plan our work, and of course perform navigation in the field. So the first workflow I want to run through is a critical valve inspection for a gas utility. As a field tech, I pull up my map and I zoom into the valve that needs to be inspected today. Once I select it in the left-hand panel, I can see more information about that valve. That's where I can learn the installation date, when it was first put into service. Scrolling down even further, I can see the last time it was inspected and when it's due to be inspected next, which was supposed to be last month, so we need to get on it. I can see the historical inspections performed on this valve by clicking on the related records, and there I'm provided a list of these previous inspections. If I want to see the latest inspection performed, I just select the one on top, and I can see here that we didn't run into any atmospheric corrosion. It was in good conditions, which means it passed in flying colors. To complete my inspection, I go back and I just select Add. It's going to take me to a smart form configured within Field Maps. Here I'm provided the option to take a photo of the valve since I'm looking at it here in the field, but I'm also provided these groups below with more information that I can fill out. Since that first group has an asterisk next to it, which suggests there's required information, I'll start there. So within this form, I can start by designating whether this valve is operating or not. And this is where we can start to see some of the conditional statements within this smart form. Meaning if I mark this as no, it's going to ask me to provide some comments and determine the inspection status. But if it is an operating valve, it's going to ask me for some more information about this. There I can go field by field, input the information. Maybe I'll mark this as no. I can specify whether it's in good condition, which in this case it is. And then I can determine the inspection status. Now, this is a required field, so if I never filled this out, I would not be provided the option to submit this record, which is why the submit option on the top right is grayed out. But as soon as I mark this as pass, you'll see it light up. I filled out all the required information, and then I can then submit that record. Now, the next thing I like to show and run through is a as-built workflow and being able to create that in Field Maps. So I'm going to step back out and pull up my tracking and traceability Field Maps map. To digitize our as-built, I'm going to select the plus sign here on the bottom right, move my crosshairs so that I snap to the T that's already in the line. And then I'm on the left here, I'm going to select the service pipeline feature, and now I can draw out my line. Now, if I had a GNSS Bluetooth receiver, I can walk out this line and rely on that device's high GPS accuracy to represent this line here. But in this case, I'm just going to draw it and make sure that the end of our line snaps to the customer meter that's in place. Now I need to include other information in its attribution into this feature. Now, fortunately, many gas utilities standardize around the ASTM barcode specification, meaning that many of the plastic parts they're installing today will already include a barcode printed on it with additional information about that part. So I'm going to go to my barcode field here, use our barcode scanner to have that barcode value inputted into the field, and that will allow me to submit this feature and have that barcode decoded and presented in the pop-up here on the left. So now we can see the manufacturer, when it was manufactured, its diameter, wall thickness, and so on. We're also running these through our own business validation rules. That's going to tell us whether or not this meets our material shelf life, which it does, but it also shows us that this particular part is not an approved manufacturer. So chances are you're going to make sure that you have the right parts with you when performing the job, but this provides that final verification that the project you just completed meets your corporate standards. Now we just walked through two different workflows using field maps, but as many of you are aware, we have several other mobile tools available at your disposal. So field maps is going to be more map centric and handle a lot of those field requirements. But if you need something that is more form centric, you can rely on something like Survey123. So even though Smart Field Maps has those smart forms we looked at earlier, you can certainly dive in much deeper into that form experience using Survey123. In our case though, the last workflow I want to run through is actually going to use Quick Capture. So as the name implies, this application is designed to allow you to rapidly collect information. So we can see our map here on the right is showing us our location. In this scenario, I have a colleague driving me around our service territory right after a storm, so then I can identify damages to our network. What this app allows me to do is point my tablet towards a damage I'm assessing, and then I select the category it falls under our asset damage group. So if there's a pull down, I click on pull down, and that's going to do a few different things. It's first going to mark the location that I just inputted. It's going to tag it with that pull down category, and then it's going to use the camera on my device to take a picture. So it's going to do all those things in just one click. Of course, what that allows me to do is collect more features a lot more quickly. So if I see a leaning pole, I can select that. If I see any wires down, I just have to click that, and I'm able to collect information in a very rapid way. Now you'll see that there's other categories here for accessibility issues. So that can identify areas of the service territory that we couldn't reach because there was a flooded road or debris blocking the way. But either way, I'm using this app to quickly collect information that I'm identifying in the field. So we looked at 3 critical workflows today that our utilities are operating on a daily basis or on a regular basis. We really use field maps to perform critical valve inspections, as well as an as-built that leverages tracking and traceability. And we use Quick Capture here to help us with our own damage assessment efforts. Pat, back to you.
Thanks, Tyler. When you were inspecting the valve, you were also referencing historical data together in one place. That is very user-friendly. I oversaw record keeping and engineering for many years, and in my experience, in the field and the office, as-builts were a sore spot for both. To be able to capture accurate as-built information at the source, touch it one time, use technologies like GPS and barcoding, that is a major step forward in cutting out busy work. In that last section of damage assessment, you were not strictly working from a map. That was more of a big button app, streamlined to a very specific task. I think it's important to fit the app to the task at hand. Fieldwork is not a one-size-fits-all proposition, and the tools we've seen so far provide a lot of options to get it just right without programming and only minor configuration adjustments. Here's an example of a utility using apps in the field. AltaGas Utilities in Alberta, Canada, updated its as-built process to comply with industry standards for barcode scanning. They wanted to get ahead of those standards for tracking and traceability. That required barcode collection. They used ArcGIS field apps with high accuracy GPS. And they did just that. They initially rolled out their solution to 50 of their employees and contractors, displaying decoded barcode data in the field, even in remote disconnected areas. They remotely collect as-built and sync the data back in near real time. By eliminating the drop-down pick lists and just using barcodes, they cut their as-building time by 50%. At the same time, they reduced the potential for error and were proactive about their regulatory compliance. Great job. Tyler, this is leading us naturally into consideration of how data is referenced in the organization with a real-time view on status, and then how it's evaluated. I'll turn it back over to you to show us how we can build on what you showed previously.
Thanks, Pat. For any workflow that requires you to collect data out in the field, like what we saw in the last demonstration, it's important to share that information across the organization as soon as possible. This dashboard that we're looking at now is helping us with our emergency response efforts. Now, there's quite a bit happening, so I'll try to break it down. One thing we're really trying to understand is where we have critical infrastructure and customers that can be impacted in the event of emergency like a storm. So that's why we're going to be looking for police station locations, fire stations, hospitals, COVID-19 vaccination sites, and so on. We're also looking at evacuation centers and evacuation routes in case we need to navigate our service area as people are evacuating. Something else we have on the top right is a list of damages that are being collected in the field coming in real time. So this one at the top here that shows the leaning pole, that's the one we just collected in Quick Capture. When I select it, it's going to zoom me into that area, and I can see that we have other damages that have been collected as well. Now, as someone back in the office, I can start to assess what kind of impact these damages could have to these two customers on life support, or this cell tower and the impact that can have on our communication systems. I also see that we have a staging area, so if we need to set up a crew, set up our equipment, we have somewhere nearby that can help us prepare ourselves to restore the network in this area. So this example is showing how we can ingest this real-time information, compare with other data sets, and help us make some real-time decisions that can help our network and even save lives in the process. Now, these type of dashboards or ArcGIS dashboards are also being used to summarize information coming from the field. Here's a dashboard that a gas utility can use to help with their own DOT annual report. So here on the top right, I have a filter that allows me to view this information for each of the service territories we have. And of course, I can see things like the total miles of mains we have, total number of services, mains by diameter. And our right-hand panel is going to have a breakdown of miles of main by material and number of services by material. We're also seeing material broken down by diameter for mains and services. And we can also see the age of our infrastructure in each of our service territories. So this information is being collected in field maps in that as-built demonstration, now being summarized into a report-like dashboard here. And touching on that reporting capability, I'm going to finish this demo by looking at this service area report we generated using Business Analyst. So the first thing this report is going to show us is some of that information we were just looking at in the dashboard, like total miles of mains, number of services. We also get to see how many miles of cast iron we still have and we're still trying to replace, and we can see how close we are to completely eliminating that from our infrastructure. We can also see trends in our installation by decades, so we can see how much we've been able to install over the years, see how we're trending. Then we've also brought in some Esri demographics in the second page to help us perform a market type of analysis. So we're going to be looking at population and household values, where we can see historical trends over the years, and we can see that we are in the middle of an uptick. Although if we use our predictive values here in 2025, we're not really anticipating much of a growth. We're going to flatline pretty hard, it seems. Now we can compare that. We can also look at average household utility spending and see how those rates are going to change over the years. With people spending more on their utilities, there may be an opportunity for them to take advantage of our programs that can save them money down the line. And lastly, we're going to look at households by alternate heating sources. So we can see which customers we can possibly transition off of tanked gas, oil, wood, and transfer them over to our utility services for their main heating source. So we took a look at two dashboards that allow us to see how we can ingest data in real time or over aggregation to help with some of our critical workflows, along with this report that includes some of that field information along with demographics to understand our service territory better. Now, Pat, what are some of your thoughts here?
Thank you, Tyler. Nice work. To me, a vital part of field data collection is putting it to use. Monitoring status in real time is something that many organizations are looking for. Then, correlating that to the system and the environment enables you to discover the impacts and the meaning of that data that came from the field. By summarizing those facts, you're supporting real business needs, running analytics, spotting trends. And because compliance is so critical today, a natural byproduct is reinforcing those functions. Relating the system to other business data, to utility programs, to customer information, that makes field data useful in many critical business workflows. Okay, let's switch gears here for a minute and talk about what's coming up. The next utility webinar is an update on ArcGIS Utility Network. So mark your calendars for June 16th. This session will focus on emerging capabilities of the utility network. So I hope that you can join us. Because of the short format, there really just isn't time to take questions today. But I want you to know we will send a document with all of the questions and answers from both sessions. Based on what you've seen and heard today, would you like to continue the conversation? Please let us know if we can help you with anything from this series or with mobile apps in general. This is a private poll and we won't display any results. We'll give you just a moment here and we'll close that poll. It's rather difficult to stay in touch during this time of virtual meetings. So we're going to try something new to help the community connect around this idea of field ops. Next week, we're planning an informal follow-up discussion, a Zoom call. This is an opportunity for you, a chance to talk to your peers, and I'm inviting you to participate. Please let us know if you would like to attend. Now, this is only being announced on the webinar today. Jeff Shaner will be there. He is the Esri Field Operations Product Lead. So that will allow us to dig into the details of products or other user experiences. And based on some of the questions that have come in today, I think that this will make a great opportunity to gain insights from your peers. It will be an open and informal time and a great way to connect. So please click on yes, and that will put you into the invite list. All right, we'll close that poll. If you think about it and decide later that you would like to attend and you didn't click yes, then simply email us here. You can take a screenshot of that and we will take care of it and invite you. I really hope that you can join in. Let me close with a couple of takeaways. With straightforward apps and better information, field workflows can be easier, more accurate, and more timely. Reference information in your hand and built-in logic inside of apps really reduces employee workload and helps to increase safety. High quality information increases awareness in the field and brings back better data to the organization. And a final thought, many utilities are evaluating their work today by customer demographics and identifying communities of concern. Location technology is an ideal way to correlate the things that a utility does to those interests. And it's essential to supporting these emerging needs. Please stay connected with us on social media and feel free to reach out to any of us if we can be of service. Thank you for attending this series. It's been a lot of fun. This concludes our session.